I've got your audio, mate.
Here we go. I've got to get my video up. Hang on. Video stoppage. Hang on. All new to me. Hang on.
No, that's all right, buddy.
Hang on. Oh, here we go. There we go.
There we go.
What's happening, mate?
Oh, not a lot, mate. Busy working at the moment, so yeah, I've been I do FIFO work, so yeah, been busy.
How's it all going?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Yeah, mate. Yeah, busy as up here. I'm in Tom Price at the moment, so I'm in the middle of literally nowhere.
Yep.
So, yeah. Yeah, Chris, thanks for joining me, mate, on my podcast, NRL Fans WA. I really appreciate you giving me your time, buddy.
No worries, mate. Anything we can do for rugby league, especially in Perth at the moment. I remember playing in Perth in the Super League days, up against the Reds. We played I was playing for the Super League 17s, mate, for the Broncos. I was still at school, and myself and Carl Webb used to catch the bus down from Toowoomba to Brisbane, and then would fly all over around the countryside, including Perth, to play over there.
Yep. I bet, mate. I bet it would have been a bit of an experience, being a young 17-year-old, 16, 17-year-old flying over to Perth and experiencing this sort of stuff.
Oh, mate, it was awesome. I thought I was the king of the world back in the day.
That's it, mate. Absolutely.
How's it all going in Perth, mate? How's the league going over there?
Good. A lot of the teams are starting to do their preseason now. It's I've, with my page and stuff, I share all the news for the clubs, so people that are following can get down to clubs and see what's going on. So a lot of them are starting to do their pre-seasons now, registration for juniors as well. Yeah, so yeah, it's getting out there. It's starting to heat up over here. So with that sort of stuff, that's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so good what you guys are doing, mate. The awareness of footy, anything come through any channels, including yourself. It's a really good thing for rugby league. It's a great sport, like AFL. It is a great sport. So, and you meet some amazing people also too, even like all through your juniors, into your seniors. There's some really good people.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely, I couldn't agree more with that. My thing with the reason I do the page is there's a couple of reasons, but the main one is because I think that Perth needs to get more people involved in the game. Obviously we're an AFL dominated state. That's never going to change. That's fine. But just I know there's a lot of Eastern Staters that are over here, New Zealanders, Islanders, and they love their rugby league as well. So, it's to get people knowing that, hey, there is rugby league here in Perth, and get that awareness out there. And, especially with the possibility of an 18th team coming up in the next couple of years, State of Origin's coming here again this year. So, more people know about it, know about the local competition. The more people follow it, the more the NRL is going to take notice.
Well, see, the thing is, I've always been, and this is not because I'm on your channel, but I've always been an advocate for league to be in Perth. It's if we want to make our national sport, if we want to make it the National Rugby League, we've got to represent the West Coast as much as what we do on the East Coast. I know that we get flooded over here between, Queensland, New South Wales, even Victoria. Victoria have seen with what Melbourne Storm have done, since they've come into the competition. There's, like you said, there's a lot of Islanders live in Melbourne. There's a lot of Islanders, that love rugby league, love the union side of things. So I think that if the National Rugby League are keen on making our sport a national sport, well, then they've got to have them. They've got to have a team spread over, our nation, which is, we can't just have it down the Eastern Seaboard and think it's a National Rugby League. We've got to have it. I think that maybe in 5 to 10 years we have a team also out of Adelaide and make it a truly national sport. So I think there's certainly the money there that we can expand to Perth and Western Australia. I think that's the number one. I'd probably get my ass kicked for this, but I think that we could certainly hit Perth first and then come back into South Australia and have a team in Adelaide as well. I'd love to see it be, the team. I know we tried it with Super League, but that was 23 years ago, 25 years ago now. So I certainly think that rugby league is a big enough sport that it can be sustained in Western Australia and South Australia. But I'd like to see it happen in Perth first.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know we've got the backing over here, financial backing. There's, the mining magnates over here would put the money behind it. I know they would. You know, Andrew Forrest did the same thing with the rugby union when the Western Force got kicked out. He made his own competition with the Western Force, so I'm sure he would put some money behind the Western Australian Rugby League team as well. So
also,
junior. Sorry, right? Yeah.
There you go.
I was going to say our junior base over here is probably outside of Queensland and New South Wales is probably one of the biggest. So we've got the juniors and stuff here. There's a lot of people from Perth that are going over. They have to go to Sydney or Brisbane to play rugby league at that top level.
Yeah.
We got the Ruben and Kennedy Sherrington playing in the NRLW. Jordan Pereira Broncos now. They're all Perth boys or Perth players. That but there's no pathways here, so that's one thing that we do struggle with is trying to with our development.
Well, and that's the thing too, mate. Like if there's the juniors now, we can keep them playing rugby league through the seniors. If there's a national rugby league team in Perth, I don't know what you call them. Let's just say, Perth Rugby League. If Perth Rugby League had an NRL team in there, that just gives. With anything, you have a support base, you have a junior base anywhere around Australia that has a national rugby league team that these junior kids see a pathway that they can get through, through that system. Mate, there's enough kids in Perth to have a number of Perth players in 10 years that can reach that goal. So, it all comes with development. I think that Andrew Abdo and what's his name? Who's the CEO? Those guys. Yeah. Those guys. With what they did through COVID was unbelievable. I think they had the foresight that they can have a look at developing the game over there. You did mention Twiggy Forrest. He, obviously, loves the 15-man game. I've also been told that he does love the 13-man game too. So, you have guys like that want to back it. That becomes their own little baby. Then, you're going to have those guys can afford anyone. They could have a Billy Slater or a JT be, their number one supporters, and that grows the game over there. It's just, I know we've hit the last two seasons through COVID. We'll probably go through this season again with COVID, with what's happening with Omicron. And then the new variant will be coming out soon, and then probably another new variant after that to scare the masses into staying at home. As you can tell, I'm not one of those people that stay at home. I take it for what it's worth. Anyway, we won't get stuck into that. But, I think that the National Rugby League with what they've done with, the Redcliffe team, I know that I'm screaming out for a team. That would fast become my second team, a team in Perth. With those sort of backing, you've got plenty of mining over there. You've got plenty of people with money that can prop it up. So, I think that we have the sustainability of rugby league that can then venture over to Perth, and I'd love to see it in my lifetime.
Yeah, cool. No, that's awesome, mate. I mean, that's great that you're wanting to see the Perth team. A lot of people I've talked to, they want to see it too, but they're sort of a bit hesitant about going for putting their, their true opinions forward with it. It's a bit hard because it is such a hard subject, with the NRL just at the moment just sort of wanting to keep Eastern States or even putting the team in Wellington. It's they don't. A lot of people are saying about the flights over to Perth and stuff like that. For my opinion, is
the AFL do it.
Yeah, the AFL do it.
So it's the cricketers are doing
and
it.
They've got two teams over here.
The BBL are doing it. Like it's a flight. It's a 4.5, 5 hour flight. You train for it. If you know that you've got a Perth road trip, well, instead of going over there the day before, you go over there 2 days. You spend a bit of time in Perth. You become acclimatized. You get known to the place. You get your players known to it. That's an easy fix. That's a no-brainer for it. Like I know that the NBA, the NFL, they're traveling 6 hours on flights from when the Chargers are playing the Giants or the Patriots. They've got to travel 6 hours or 7 hours on a plane to get from one side of America to other. So it's with, and especially with the way that the world is at the moment, it's a very small world. You can get to places, in a shake of a lamb's tail. It doesn't matter what, a 5 hour trip, you become accustomed to it. I would love to see more NRL games played in Perth, played in South Australia, played in Northern Territory. That also helps grow the game. I know that I was up in Northern Territory 3 years ago. They've got a pretty healthy rugby league system up in Perth, up in Darwin at the moment. Perth, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see more games. I love the fact that they're taking the State of Origin, which is the gem of our season. The 3 games, they're probably 3 of the most watched sporting events in Australia, apart from an NRL grand final, an AFL grand final, and the Melbourne Cup. Putting Perth showcase with their new stadium, it's a no-brainer for me. They should be playing more games out of Perth. It's
absolutely.
That helps develop it, and we as a rugby league society, we need to keep up with the AFL. AFL do things really well for their juniors and off the field. So and promoting the game, they've promoted a lot of the games in Queensland, because we do have a stronghold. We do have a foothold on Queensland. We don't want to lose Queensland because we are losing New South Wales. But I think it's time now for the NRL now to hit the AFL in areas that we haven't really tried to, or we've dipped our toe in. We've been sort of rejected, and then we come back to the eastern states like we have in the past. I think that we've got to start really giving it to our Western brothers and sisters, and making sure that they know what rugby league is first and foremost. And the only way that they can do that is developing in the school systems and the programs with rugby league. I think that the union, before they did get kicked out, they were having a bit of a stronghold. I was talking to Nathan Sharp about it about a year ago. So he obviously was talking to Twiggy. He knows Twiggy. He knows that he's been over in Perth. He's lived there. He's done it with the Western Force. So I think that the more games that the NRL schedule for Perth, I think it's so much better for not only Perth people, but for rugby league in general.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, we used to have South come over. They would play games at what would be the home ground of the Perth team. It was originally the Perth Glory ground, and the government threw money at it to make it into the Western Force ground and a Perth Rugby League ground. So they built the stadium up, and then Manly and Warriors would come over, and and then the Warriors and Manly would come over, and they'd play at the AFL stadium, Subiaco Oval at the time. And then 2 years ago they had State of Origin here at the brand new stadium where they play all the sports, and we sold it out, 60,000 people. And I mean, I was one of them. I went to the game, and mate, the atmosphere was just electric.
There's definitely
and
a market.
I can't wait for this one.
Definitely a market for Perth. You don't need to preach to the choir. I think that if we're going to expand our game and bring juniors in, Perth is definitely my number one pick outside of the eastern states of Victoria, New South Wales, and Queensland. And then I'd like to see a team. I'd like to see a Sydney team amalgamate and become a Perth team, and then have a 17th team or an 18th team out of South Australia after we've run Perth, we've made it a success, and then we can come back into a closer states to the Eastern Seaboards. But for me, it's a no-brainer about Perth, and I think that it's a big enough region, it's a big enough state to not only have your soccer and your cricket and AFL, which is going to dominate because they've been over there since day one. But I think there's definitely a market for Perth, and I'm hoping, like you guys are, that when there is another team granted, however long that takes, I don't know, that it is awarded to Perth.
No, that's awesome, mate. And I personally appreciate your support behind that because, like we've been saying, mate, it's needed here, it's wanted, and it can only grow the game more.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and that's what we want. We want it to be a truly national game, not just the Eastern Seaboard and call it the National Rugby League.
Yep, exactly, mate. Like I said, mate, thanks for jumping on and having a chat with us, mate. So, we're jumping into a bit of your career, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Talk about your time with Brisbane. You played Brisbane, South, Roosters, Melbourne, Titans. You went over to France and played for Catalans. And then you come back and played the Eels.
Yes.
When you look back on your career, mate, is there anything that you take away from your rugby league career as a professional sports person that's made you into the man that you are today?
Yeah, just resilience. I think that, mate, at the moment as we talk, I'm sitting in a wheelchair. I broke both my legs about 3.5 weeks ago. So I think what's taught me right now as we're sitting here speaking, I've got obviously the downfall of not being able to walk for maybe 3 to 6 months with my injuries at the moment, but up here I've just got to be really positive, and that's something that I've learnt, especially being coached by Wayne Bennett. Also too, which I'm really fortunate to have. I'm fortunate to have my two brothers who obviously played NRL at the top level for over 10 years. Both of them, they played a very illustrious career, over 150 games, which is unheard. Which is, as a family, it's pretty much unheard of. There's some special families out there that all members of the family have played more than 150 games. The Burgess brothers, the Walters brothers, but there's not too many. The Morris boys there who are but mate, just for me, it's just resilience. Is you can bounce back from most things that happen in your life, and I'm currently sitting in a fight right now with myself to get my feet better, to get my legs better, to be able to walk. And what I've learnt from rugby league and some pretty good coaches that I had along the way is you got to be resilient. These things happen, but you can't go back into your shell. You can't go back into feeling sorry for yourself. You just got to get up. You got to remain positive, even though it's very hard for me at the moment to remain positive. But you got to find little wins, and that's what I was taught through my football career. Whether you are coming back from an injury, each day you do get better. It might be a little win, might be you make all your tackles during a game that contributes to the team winning. That they're your little wins that contribute to the ultimate goal of winning a game. Little wins even when you lose, and that's identifying things that you can work on. That for me is not a negative mindset. It's a little win because you can go back and you can reassess what you've been doing bad. Your technique in missing a tackle might be you're dropping ball, you're not watching the ball. They're little wins because you identify them, and then next time you can work on them, and hopefully they don't happen again. So I think that the biggest thing for me is to remain positive and resilient, and that's probably there's some really big things that I've taken out of having the beauty of playing rugby league for 14 years professionally.
No, that's perfect, mate. And as you said, with your legs, you just recently had an accident where you broke both your legs. Was a sea container or something fell on you?
The side of a shipping container that converts into a bar. The winch slipped, and I happened to be walking past it at the wrong time, and she collected me, chased hard from marker, and got me in a bootlace tackle.
Mate, I was watching your live before with the Fitness Guide or whatever it was. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's the one. You know, and you got a bit emotional talking about, you know, that, you know, it was lucky your life wasn't taken. You know, it was only your legs in that sense, and they're already broken. You know, so, you know, for everyone that's watching this, you know, it's little things like that you know you've taken out of it. You know, that your life is still here. You still got both your legs. They're just broken. You know, and that's.
Yeah, that was the thing. That was the thing, mate. It was. I mean, you have moments in your life where your life pans before your face or before your eyes really quick, and it happened 3.5 weeks ago. Walking past that shipping container, which weighs the side of the shipping container that hit me is roughly around a ton, weighs a ton. So if it had a colectomy on top of the head or, you know, anywhere below my neck, well, yeah, it'd probably be a different story. I wouldn't be talking at all, or I'd be dead, or I'd be a quadriplegic or a paraplegic, or even, you know, an amputee. So it's a little win that, you know what, I'm sitting here, I've got bones that heal. It might take me 2 years to get back to, you know, being able to walk correctly and running and all that sort of stuff. I don't know the implications or what's going to happen after that with, you know, with arthritis in my joints but I'll take that, you know, after I've fully healed. And this is one of those processes.
Yep.
It's I'm very grateful that, you know, I am able to give my kids a kiss before I tuck them into bed. And, you know, it's great to be able to sit down and have a conversation with my wife, and she then get to wheel me around in the wheelchair, which Courtney's been amazing. She's been awesome for me. She's got a lot of brownie points that she keeps on reminding me each day that I've got to keep on stacking up. But I mean, yeah, it is emotional. You know, the last 3.5 weeks, you know, even laying in bed and not being able to sleep and reliving that whole trauma of being trapped under the thing. But then you also, yeah, I've just got to take my mind back to, you know, there are going to be times when this is going to happen. But, you know, in 5 years' time, I can hopefully look back and, you know, my daughter's 14. You know, there's going to come a time when I'm able to walk my daughter down the aisle and my younger daughter down the aisle in time. So I'm grateful. They're the little wins that I've got to think about. You know, I want to be in the moment, and a lot of my positive energy that I get from my brain, and I might sound like a witch doctor, but if you think positive about something that's happened to you, you can get over things. And I put a lot of my positive energy into my brakes, in my legs, because that's what I did when I played football. I thought of positive things, and you know, it's amazing. It's amazing what the power of the mind can do. And I'm in that at the moment. And that's when I had my horrific injuries when I was playing football. That's where I take my mind. My mind would be constantly thinking about repairing and getting my body to repair, you know, those injuries. And that's the state of mind that I'm in. But like you said, it's all about having little wins. And, you know, as traumatic as it is when I do think about it, you know, I've just got to take my mind back to, I am here. I have all my limbs. I'm waiting for breaks to heal, bones to heal, and then, you know, take the next phase of my life into get myself being able to walk around the house and do things that I would do before I had the breaks. So yeah, got to remain positive.
Absolutely.
Mate. I know it's very hard.
Yeah. You know, I'm a father of 12 kids, mate. So like, you know, you were saying that you had a sort of yeah, mate, yeah, 12 kids. So I got 10 of them that live at home with me, or lucky I'm away at the moment. The missus is dealing with that. But you know, like you were saying, you know, like we're just talking about, you know, you had that flash of your life before your eyes and that sort of stuff, you know, and when you remember you have kids and all that sort of stuff, it, you know, puts that in perspective, you know, that
100%.
You know, like you were saying, it's just the legs that are broken, you know, so you want to be able to, you know, yeah, like you said, you know, 10, 15 years down your time down the line, you can walk your daughters down the aisle. You know,
That's right.
Yeah, it's grateful that you get grateful and humbled by that sort of stuff.
Oh, you're doing. Hey, let's get back to 12 kids, eh? So what's the makeup of and the ages of your kids?
So when me and my partner got together, she had 5 kids, and I had 4 to previous partners, and then we've had 3 together.
Yep.
So yeah, it's one of her kids lives back in New Zealand with her grandmother, and one of my sons lives with his mother. So we've got 10 kids at home. The age group at home is 16 down to 5 months, and everything in between. So
that's so
we've got
that is awesome.
Yeah, so we got what do we got? Sorry, we've got 6 boys at home, and 4 girls.
I've got 3. So I've got twins at 11. I've got Harper, Chase and Nala are twins. So I've got boy girl twins. They're 11.
Yep.
And Harper, my oldest, she's 14. Turned 14 yesterday. But I mean, how good is it having kids? Like your life doesn't start until you have kids. And mate,
absolutely.
And also too, like 16, like the 16-year-olds, your teenagers, and that, they're at the age where they can help around the house, and they become your mates, and they become my oldest. I'm 41, so I'm not that old. Harper's 14, and the twins are 11. I look at my kids as my best mates, so I've got to check myself. First and foremost, I'm a father. I'm a disciplinarian. I can't. There's a fine line between becoming a father and a mate. But you got to find that, because kids, as much as you want them to be your mate, they've also got to realise that mum and dad are, we are the ones you living under our roof. You got to abide by our rules. So and you know what? It's you can't write a book on being a parent, because every kid's different.
Yeah, exactly, and I know that better than anyone at the moment. Every kid is different. I've got a 5-month-old baby girl, just over 1-year-old boy, and a 4-year-old girl. And they're all been different. All the pregnancies were different too. The way they are when they were like brand new
Sleeping
babies too.
Yes.
Oh, mate, and it's
cool.
all different, Yeah,
that's so cool. That's really cool. It's I mean, if Courtney wanted to have 10 kids, I'd have 10 kids, because they make you feel young.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you're saying with your wife Courtney that she's been by your side through your accident and everything else, and like my partner, she's 100% behind me doing this page. Like whenever I have interviews and stuff, she keeps the kids out of the office so I can go down to the office and have the chats, and it's nice and quiet and all that sort of stuff. So, and she ends up watching them after and goes, "Oh, you should ask this or should ask that," and she's she's really supportive of it, and she, we want to get to the stage where, like for me, that this page is my job, and hopefully, it gets that way. But at the moment, I have to work away to support the 10 kids at home. So, it's understandable with the 10 kids, but and like you said, like our oldest kids, our daughter turns 14 on Friday, and our oldest son is 16, and they help out heaps with the babies as well. Helps the missus with the babies. And makes the household a lot better.
Yeah, that's it, eh? Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, bit distracted from the football topic, but no.
Hey, it's what life's all about.
Oh, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And I wouldn't change it for the world. So, we'll go back into the footy stuff, mate. So 99, you make your debut for the Broncos against the Sharks.
Yes.
Do you remember that day very fondly?
Yeah, I do. I remember it like it was dead set yesterday. There's a lot of games in my mind that I could probably relive as I played them this morning, and certainly my debut was one of those games that I can vividly remember it happening. I was named as 18th man, and this is the funny thing is, my childhood hero when I was growing up was Steve Renouf. Like I love Steve Renouf. Even now when I'm 41 years of age, if I see Steve Renouf and I'm in the same room with him, I get a selfie with him. Like I just can't help myself. I love him. I just think
he was one of my idols too, mate. So
yeah, I love him. And the thing is, he's such a beautiful soul. He's such he's an elder. He's just one of those guys that you love being around even today. And I had the beauty, well, not so much beauty because I wanted to debut with my idol, with my childhood idol, which was Steve. And I was named as 18th man. And the reason why I was named 18th man is because Steve Renouf had a niggling injury from round one. And Wayne called me to the room and he said, "Oh, listen, Chris," he said, we're gonna put you in a day. You're probably gonna debut this week. I'm going to name you as 18th man because Pearl has Steve Renouf. His nickname's Pearl for people who don't know. Pearl might be out. I was like, oh, far out. I want to debut. I'm in this position of training with the first team at the Broncos, with two older brothers at the Broncos. Apart from debuting with my two brothers, I want to debut with Steve Renouf. But 2 days before we're due to play Cronulla, Pearl didn't do his fitness test right, or he failed his fitness test, and I got the tap on the shoulder saying I'm debuting. And I remember during the game, David Peachey was the fullback for Cronulla, and Gordon Tallis got the ball, and he sort of made a half break. They turned it over, and Gordon's picked it up, and he's just gone through, and he's got held up, and then I've come through supporting. We're about 20 metres out from our own line, and I thought to myself, here we go. I'm going to sprint 80 metres and score on debut. Next minute, I just feel this massive big hand grab me by the back of the neck and just reach me down. And David Peachey had turned and he just got me and he just ripped me to the ground. And that's one of the memories I remember when I debuted, apart from running out at ANZ, fulfilling a lifetime dream to one, debut in the NRL, and also to debut for my favourite team, which was the Broncos growing up. So I got to live two childhood dreams that day, and that was one of them. I missed out the third one, which was playing alongside my idol in Steve Renouf. But I got to play with Pearl, and I certainly got to learn a lot from him, both on and off the field. And he was such a great man in my career early on when I was at the Broncos, and he was playing. He was sort of coming to the end of his career, but I certainly got to share the field with my idol and share the field with Wendell and Gordon and Lockie and Elf and Kevy. Just come with it. So, and also got to play football with my two brothers, which was awesome, playing at the highest level.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely would have been. And like I was a Broncos supporter, and I still am, mate. Everything, nearly every bit of clothing I own is Broncos. So, it's, and I met Steve Renouf when I was about 7 years old in Brisbane, and my dad went up and asked him for a photo with me, and he's like, "Yep, absolutely." And then him and my dad and my mum were talking about my sister that was in the hospital at the time. So he was just a humble bloke, really down to earth, and I've idolised him since I was a little kid as well. I remember watching and just getting excited every time he touched the ball.
How good was he? Yeah,
mate.
When
even like that 92 grand final.
Oh yeah, two tries, and then he get those out balls from Kevy. Oh my God, like they were just every time Kevy got the ball, I knew that he was passing to Pearl. I go, yep, right, I'd try, or something would happen. He'd make 20 meters or 30 meters every time he had the ball, and there wasn't too much to him. Like he wasn't the biggest player, but the way he used his body to get past people, it wasn't a step, it was a swerve, and just the way he glided past people, I used to just love it. And even now, like I think back at some of the tries that he scored and some of the breaks that he made was unbelievable. Like I watched the game. Obviously got plenty of time now sitting on the couch. I got to watch a couple of the old Broncos games on Fox, and I think Pearl scored 3 tries against the game that I watched the other day against the Roosters, and he could have had the fourth one. And I think he handed it off to Mickey Hancock or something like that. He was just a gifted football player. not bad from a little little Aboriginal Murray kid, Indigenous kid coming from Mergen and Cherbourg. We look at that. That's one thing I love about the Indigenous guys. They're just so good at what they do. They're so talented.
Oh
yeah. You could have went. Broncos probably could have went to Cherbourg and Mergen and picked out 5 other Stephen Hoofs that were playing, in Mergen and whatnot. I've got a lot of friends up there, and you just see them. And I've been up there and I played football in Cherbourg and Mergen, and the kids are, can barely walk or all walking around with footballs. It's awesome to see. I love it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
He was really good for that region, mate. Like Frankie Malone, sort of paved the way for those guys up there, which is Steve's uncle. The Malone boys, Renouf boys, they're really good for that region. The Birds, all those guys. Even Gavin Cooper from up that region. Just there's some really, really good talented footballers that have come out of that area.
Yeah, absolutely. There is. You're speaking before about debuting with your 2 brothers, mate. How did you find living up to the reputation with those 2? I guess already established in the first grade level.
Mate, it was good. Like the thing is, I had the beauty of Ben's 4 years older than me, then Shane's 2 years older than me. So I had the beauty when I was 17, went to school in Toowoomba, which is an hour and 40 minutes from Brisbane. Every spare minute that I had in school, I'd be off school, like in school holidays, I'd be in Brisbane living with my brothers. So which would in turn me going to training. So I had the beauty, finish school, and I was moving to Brisbane to play for the Broncos. That when I walked into the dressing sheds, I knew all the first graders by name. They knew me by name because my 2 older brothers had been there. They were established first graders by the time I got down there. So my transition from school into training with the big guys wasn't too frightening. It was like I wasn't overawed by the situation because I'd already known them ever since I was a 12-year-old kid. So I knew Wendell before Wendell was Wendell. He played for St Pat's in the Confraternity Shield, and Ben was 16. He made the same team, and I sort of knocked around with Wendell. There was a couple of great players that come into that out of that tournament, which is the Confraternity Shield, and I sort of knew Wendell before he was Wendell. And then Ben was knocking around with Elf and Kevy at the racetrack because they love to punt, and I'd come down on my school holidays and go straight to the racetrack and be standing next to Elfie Langer while he's putting a bet on. So I was pretty fortunate. Also, too, Wayne Bennett coached my dad when Dad played in the Brisbane comp. So, and I knew Wayne before. Even Ben went to the Broncos because we were friends with Wayne's sister Michelle in Toowoomba. So we always had that connection. Dad played in the 70s and 80s in Brisbane, and Wayne coached brothers in Brisbane, and Dad played for brothers. So that sort of transition period as well wasn't too overawed because I knew Wayne before I'd even started high school.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Yeah.
It's a pretty small world when you sort of think about it, isn't it? It's but that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean
awesome.
we worked extremely hard to get where we were. We weren't just handed up on a silver platter because we knew Wayne, and Wayne's that sort of coach. If you're not dedicated to what you're doing, you were no chance of playing first grade. And that's what Wayne's the best coach I've ever had. I've had Ricky Stewart. He's a fair coach. Craig Bellamy is tactically the best coach I've ever had, but man manager, getting the best out of your players. It's Wayne, and then a very, 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 very close second is Craig Bellamy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I was going to mention that sort of stuff too, like with going down to Melbourne, and you had a bit of. I was reading up on your history stuff. A bit of a reputation back in the day as well. And you had a bit of a falling out with Ricky, and then you get out of Melbourne, and similar thing happens.
I'm falling out. Well, see, the thing is too, and it's like with work. It's like with any work. If you're not happy away from work, if your personal life is not set, if your personal life is going through a little bit of trouble, well then that's going to affect your work, whether you're pulling levers on a digger or whether you're playing first grade in an NRL club. And when I got sacked from, there was a mutual agreement for me to leave Roosters because I just didn't want to be there. My life outside of football. I was breaking up with my missus at the time. So football was sort of, for me, was the furthest thing that I wanted to think about. And then that was at the end of 2005. And then I went to Melbourne Storm in 2006. And unfortunately, my life outside of football followed me down to Melbourne. I was drinking way too heavy. I was hanging out with the likes of Brendan Vavola and all the AFL superstars in Melbourne. So my life outside of football for me was the furthest thing, and it was really the first time that I'd moved away from my family. So I didn't have the support of my family. Wherever I went was either with Ben or Shane, or living in Brisbane. It was only an hour trip back to our family pub at Crow's Nest. So if I had dramas in Brisbane, I could either go to Wayne or I could go straight back to my dad, who is a legend. My mum's an absolute legend. So if I needed something, then I'd have Ben and Shane, living with Ben and Shane, and I'd have my little brother there as well. So when I moved to Melbourne, I had no support staff. I had no mothers, I had no fathers, I had no brothers. I had Mick Crocker, even though Croc's a good dude. I was drinking way too much, and I just become more of a cancer at Melbourne Storm. I actually resented Craig Bellamy for a long time for him getting rid of me. It was like I was screaming out for help. Like if it had been Wayne Bennett and I was going down that path, even though I was more destructive for myself than the team, Wayne would have called me in and tried to sit down and work it out, where I sort of resented Craig Bellamy for sacking me. And I resented him for a long time, like years and years afterwards. But like I'm 41 years of age. Like he had a team. Up until a couple of years ago, realised that he had a team to look after. It wasn't just me. He wasn't babysitting me. And if I was a cancer, which I was, and I know I was within that organisation, there was only one way, and there was only one winner, and that was always going to be Craig. So, I think he's a fair dude, Craig. He's a good bloke, but I hated him for a long time, and that was me. That was me being resentful for him getting rid of me. But I was the ultimate one that made him get rid of me. It wasn't like he didn't just wake up one day and go, "Chris, I don't want Chris to be in our club." It was months of drinking and turning up, half pissed or turning up late. Because my life outside of football wasn't right. And I probably resented him for not taking that on board and calling me in and identifying it, well before the sacking date. Whereas, I had issues off the field, not big ones, but Wayne used to call me and say, "Listen, mate, I need to come and talk to you," or "Listen, get a training half an hour, 45 minutes early, come and see me because I can identify that you're a bit agitated. I need to iron what's going on." And as a first grade coach with Craig, he didn't identify that. He didn't try and help me. He just got to a point where I was being destructive, and he went, "Nah, I can't have you here anymore. See you later. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on the arse on the way out." So I resented him for that, but I also know that he had a role and he had a responsibility to the other players to get rid of a player that wasn't fitting into their mold.
Yep. Absolutely.
But I like him. I like him. He's hard, but he's actually he's not a bad dude.
Yeah. No, well, and you explained it perfectly, mate. He was only looking after his team, but it's one of those different type of coaches. It's the people managers. That you were screaming out for, but didn't have. Tactically, he was one of the best, as you said. But it's just other things that unfortunately led to.
That's how come Wayne's so good, and that's how come Wayne's been so good for a very long time. Is he identifies, from the youngest player in the club to the oldest player in the club, even their family members, that if you've got an issue, Wayne, before it becomes a massive issue, Wayne will spot it. He'll identify it. He'll nip it in the butt. He'll knock it on the head. He'll get, he'll get the help that you require or a teammate requires, and then it's play on for them. And he takes that interest. I know Craig Bellamy does as well, but he just didn't identify it with me. And I probably taught him. I probably taught Craig how to deal with that because he probably hasn't had someone so bad in his organisation like me off the field.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's another one. Another way of looking at it. In 2001 and 2002, mate, you get to play for Queensland. Ben and Shane didn't get to represent Queensland, but yourself, you got to. How did you sort of feel about getting out there and representing your state, but also sort of representing Ben and Shane that obviously didn't make it to that level?
Yeah, I remind them every day. No, I don't. I mean, growing up, I remember even from the time that I remember watching football at a very, very young age, all I wanted to do was play for the Broncos or play for Queensland. And in 2001, I was lucky enough to be selected by Queensland and Wayne when he was coaching the Maroons to not only represent the people of Queensland, and that's what you do when you're out there, and that's how come Queensland 9 times out of 10 they're always going to be the underdog, but they always win, is because we play from the north of Tweed to the Cape York. So everyone in between, we're representing, and we're out there for 80 minutes. And we know, like I knew when I donned that jersey, that Queensland jersey, I knew what it was like because I knew as a young age that when I'd watch a Steve Renouf or an Alfie Langer play for Queensland, they weren't just playing because they were given a maroon jersey. They were playing for every kid, every mother and father, every brother and sister in Queensland, because when Queensland lost, I remember as a kid, I'd be filthy. I didn't want to go to school the next day. I didn't want to go to school for the next week. And I knew I had a responsibility when I donned that jersey on that, there were 4.5 million people in Queensland all rooting for us to go out there and win because it made their life better. And not only that, I got to represent Queensland and play in front of, my family. And, I remember as the national anthem was playing before I debuted in 2001 at the Old Lang Park. I remember finding my parents and my brothers in the grandstand, and that sort of hit home for me because I had 2 older brothers. Probably both of them could have played State of Origin. They were both very skillful, but they just missed out on playing. And I knew that I was representing my 3 brothers, and I knew that I was representing my mum and dad when I was out there playing for Queensland. So it just made it extra special. Not to mention the 50,000 screaming Queenslanders at the stadium all wanting us to win. So you got a responsibility when you don that jersey. You got not only a responsibility to yourself and your teammates and your coaching staff that have put a lot of time into coming up with a game plan to beat New South Wales, but you got the weight of 4.5 million people of Queensland that all want you to win. And there's some people that live in New South Wales that go for Queensland too, but you've got that extra bonus, you've got that extra, and when you do have that win, you're not celebrating just for the team and the coaching staff and your family. You're celebrating to know that from the Cape York to all the way down to Coolangatta, households are going nuts, and kids are going to bed happy. Kids aren't going to bed crying, and that's what you play for. And that's always in the back of your mind. You've got to represent the best state in the world.
Yep. I was talking 2 months ago, and when I was doing some research on him, I didn't realise that he only played a couple of Origin games, but he's forever etched into the folklore of Origin. Mark Geyer.
Oh yeah. When he tried to fight Wally.
And I was, every time I watch Origin highlights and stuff like that, it's for one of your ones comes up is when it was only a couple minutes into the game when Lockie made that break down the side, passed it to Kiri, and then you've whoever it was, I think it was Lockie, or someone put a kick in, and you've ended up just snatching it out of their hands and scored the try in that corner. Yeah. How does that sit with you being, I guess, etched into Origin folklore with that try?
Yeah, it's good. It's nice. It's nice to know that when with the walkers on call, they're obviously worried about me being on the field as well. But it's funny you mentioned Mark Geyer. I love the story. This is the story. Have you heard the story about when Wally tried to fight him in Origin?
Yeah,
I love the story when he goes, you know what he said. I've heard him talk about it, and he goes, you know what? Growing up watching rugby league and watching football, and he said, he goes, I'm a diehard New South Wales player, supporter, love New South Wales. He said, but when you talk about Wally Lewis, you talk about the king, and he goes, mate, everyone loves him, respects him as a player, even as a New South Wales Welshman. You hated him for 240 minutes of the year, but you loved him. And he goes, I just got caught up in the moment. He said, all of a sudden I looked down and there's this Wally Lewis bloke in my face. He said, I didn't know if I should punch him or get an autograph with him in a selfie. And I was like, that epitomizes what State of Origin is all about. Like, I some of my closest mates, I know that he's going through his stuff at the moment. Willie Mason, Anthony Minicello. These guys all played for New South Wales, and they're my mates. And for 29 minutes or 240 minutes, I hate them. I can't stand them. Like I detest them. Like for 240 minutes of a year, which is 3 Origin games, I hate them. Can't stand them. But when you're in that in that battle, that's what rugby league's all about. You hate them, you bash them, you go out there and you want to rip their head off. But then after the game, you have a beer with them, and that's what I guess what sport's all about, and that's what football's all about.
Yeah,
and Origin.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I've only got a couple more questions for you, mate. I know we've had a chat for a long time now, so I really appreciate it.
All good, brother.
I know you've been heavily involved with a lot of charities recently. You did a big walk from Cairns. Was it down to Brisbane?
Down the Gold Coast.
I'm not sure how far it was. Sorry.
Just under 1,900 km.
Yeah, and I remember you saying in that Instagram live we were just on before that, you wanted to raise $250,000 for charity.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and I know I watched your Instagram stuff with how many freaking ice bath challenges you had to do. Like, Jesus, I don't know how you were able to do that many. But you're doing it for a good cause, and I was also reading up that you made your own, was it charity app on
yes.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about that, mate, so give it a bit of a plug.
Yeah, mate, I was a founder of a charity platform called Fund My Challenge, and it was sort of birthed out of even during my rugby league career. I did a lot of charity stuff, but unfortunately, and this is the whole thing, the Celeste Barber that happened during the fires, where she raised $53 million. It all went to a charity, and then there was talk that there was like only 10% that was spent on. She raised money. It was for the New South Wales Royal Fire Brigade, but in their constitution, they couldn't, because the whole reason why she raised the money was because she saw these towns. Saw these communities absolutely decimated by these fires, homes lost, community centres lost, everything. It was horrific.
Yeah.
So she thought that she'd raise she started off with wanting to raise $100,000. She nominated the New South Wales Royal Fire Brigade, but in that constitution, any charitable donation that goes to the New South Wales Fire Brigade, they can only spend on new equipment, training, and new trucks, which is great. I don't. Yep. I don't have a problem with that, but when the funds she ended up raising $53 million. Now, $53 million to a charity that helps communities get back on their feet by building houses, which she thought she was doing this cause for, but it turned out it was going to the New South Wales Fire Brigade. Like I said, I don't have a problem with the New South Wales Fire Brigade, because next time that there's a fire, they're going to have the best equipment, they're going to have the best training, and they're going to have the newest trucks. So hopefully they're going to be that good with that $53 million that when there are new bushfires going through these areas, that no one's ever going to lose a house again. That's my take on it. And that was the whole reason why we wanted to start a platform. We want to have charities on our platform that spend more than 60% on their charitable cause. Not like some of these massive big charities that only spend, $5 for every 100 that is donated, and the $95 goes to, absorbent CEO fees and board members that they shouldn't even have a board member that come together, that get paid $500,000 a year, and they have one meeting per year. We wanted to take that whole situation out of the equation, and we wanted to have charities on board that do spend money on their charitable cause. We understand that there's administration costs. We have administration costs, but we don't want all charitable donations to be taken up and absorbed by administration costs. We birthed Fund My Challenge wholly and solely out of that, and we launched that app, and we launched that platform with my Walk from Cairns, and it was good. We raised $250,000 for 4 different charities, and we've helped. I think over the last 9 months that we launched, we've raised over $1 million for charities, and these charities are very grateful for what we're doing, and like I said on the other podcast, it fills my love tank, and it makes me feel good, and that in itself can help families and help people either with what they're doing. It might be a cancer, it might be mental health, or it might be domestic violence or Alcohol and Drug Foundation. Whatever the charitable cause, we're out there helping these people get back on their feet with whatever has struck them down. So it's I'm not in the best headspace at the moment with my legs and where I'm at, but having an organisation that I help fund certainly slows the burden down of me not being able to do anything at the moment with my legs, and if I can help other people, then I'm happy with that.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, mate. And congratulations on that app. It's like perfect, exactly what the world needs, especially in this shitty time that we're in. And for them to see that, the charities aren't, like you said, aren't spending $5 to give to the people that need it, $95 going to the actual organisation. It's great to see that someone's took that initiative and
we cop a bit of flack over it.
Where people can.
We do cop a little bit of flack over it, but that's what we're doing. We want to, and also too, we find that a lot of the boutique charities, they're really good. The ones that have been around for 5 or 10 years, and the biggest donation they've ever had maybe 5,000 or 6,000 or 10,000, and then we're No Rest for Breast, which was Corey Creed, who writes for Nitro Circus, raised I think $40,000 or $50,000 for a charity, and I think that was the biggest charity donation that organised had that he chose. It's very, very cool things what we're doing, and we've got some really good people reaching out to us every day to do a challenge, and then start raising money. And we're going to now put it into raising money for individuals and helping individuals out too, which is stage 2 of what we want to do. So we're not just doing it for charities. We're doing it for individuals that there might be someone who's struck down in their family and have got no medical insurance, and all of a sudden to have a treatment in Germany for a certain brain cancer, they need $500,000. So that's the thing that we're going to now go into and help families individually, and also do some great work that we're going to do with the charities as well. So it's a really good space to be in. And I'm 41 years of age. I wish that I had done this when I was 21, 20 years ago, because Even since I finished the walk, even people, when I was doing the walk, the hardest. I often say this: the hardest 2 minutes of the day was my first 2 minutes that I opened my eyes. But people were following my journey on social media and reaching out to me all the time, saying, you're giving me strength. You're giving me, incentives to get out of bed early and go train. That I haven't been training for 5 years. And people have been watching me walk and then get out of bed and start changing their life. So, I've said it before. I'm not a good Samaritan, and there's things in my life that I've got to continuously work on. I'm not perfect. No one is. But it's so nice to be in this space. It's really good for your mental.
Yeah, that's beautiful, mate. No, that's awesome, mate. Once we finish this, mate, you'll have to send me the link and all that sort of stuff so I can post it all over my social media so people can get behind your charity
Cheers,
stuff.
Jamie. Cheers, mate.
And support you, mate. No, it's no dramas at all, mate. Once I've got some money behind me, it's a bit hard with the 10 kids, but once I've got some money behind me, mate, I'll be putting in to support you, mate. So it's awesome that what you've done, mate. As someone that doesn't need the charity and stuff, I appreciate what you've done.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
It's a big thing.
Thanks, mate.
No, that's all good. Just with we were talking before about the live that you were just on before. You were mentioning that you had a business with a vodka company as well.
Yeah, I've gone one way with the charity stuff, and then obviously, I started a vodka company that I've been working on now for probably 18 months, and we launched it 7 weeks ago. We're currently sitting in about 55 venues. You can buy Ariane. It's called Ariane Vodka. It's a premium vodka. You can buy it online at Dan Murphy's. But it's just I just can't stay still. I can't not do something. And the opportunity of starting a vodka company and also to fund my challenge. And I was like, right, well, let's have a go at both of them. Let's throw myself out there and do what I'm doing. And I love the vodka side of things. I love getting out there and meeting people because that's what I do. I love feeding off people's energy. It makes me feel good. Especially when you come up, you're talking to people that are really nice guys. But Fund My Challenge for me is my real passion. Is helping people with that. But the Ariane Vodka is just a little side project that me and a couple of mates, Nate Miles, is a part of. It's awesome. It's awesome having Nate's also a part of Fund My Challenge. But having guys like Nate and Dan Carruthers, who is a young fella from here, his brother-in-law Sean, these sort of guys being a part of my world and feeding off those guys with the vodka and Fund My Challenges. And we've got Joel Parkinson, ex-world pro surfer. He's a part of Fund My Challenge. Having his vibe there, he's another beautiful soul that does everything. He does a lot of good stuff in the charity space. So just being around those good people in both of those businesses is something that you wake up. I wake up at 5 o'clock most mornings up until when I did my did my legs. But just waking up and having a purpose and getting into that routine each morning to up at 5 o'clock, 45 minutes of laying in bed just to myself. My kids aren't awake. My wife's not awake. It's quiet. It's my time. And then get up at 5:45, go train. That's my routine. Unfortunately, the last 3.5 months, last 3.5 weeks, I haven't been able to do it, which is not good for my mental, but we're getting there. I've got to keep on looking at the positives.
Yep, absolutely, mate. Is there any other businesses or anything that you're involved with, mate, or is it just those?
Just those charities, mate. The charity with the Fund My Challenge, and then obviously with Ariane Vodka, just a little side project. But it keeps me busy. So I don't like sitting. I don't like sitting around too long.
No, that's beautiful, mate. Look, that's all I've got for you, buddy. I really appreciate you jumping on, have a chat with me. Chris Walker from NRL Fans WA, thank you very much for joining me and telling us your story.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks for having me. And hopefully, mate, in a couple of years' time, we get to go over there and watch the Perth NRL team run around.
That'd be great, mate. Yeah, thank you very much. Much love to the family, mate, and best of luck with your recovery, buddy.
Cheers, brother. Thanks very much for having me.
Thanks, mate. See ya.